Today I'm going to do a picture of a collagraph of this photograph that I took on a walk the other day, and I'm going to go through a process of how it all happens right from the start. So I'm going to use the glue to mark any places in my painting, in my collagraph, that I want to be lighter. So I'm using a matte plate which is going to soak up some of the ink. So I want these clouds to be nice and white. So I'm going to paint them with blue. I want them to be sort of a little bit rough. There's some nice clouds near the horizon. And I'm using the glue first because then I'm going to cut into the plate, and I want the cuts not to be glued up. Sometimes when the glue doesn't quite go in, it's nice to show some of the ink coming through. So I'm going to do a little bit rough here, so it sort of blends in nicely into foreground. I have to do everything the wrong way round, because obviously the plate is a mirror image. So I've got my image printed on transparent paper as a reference. I want these flowers to show up nice and yellow, and then I want this path, I'm going to carve it out. Hopefully give me a nice effect. Great thing about Collagraph is that you just don't know what it's going to look like until you print it, and that's what makes it so much fun. And I like it more. That's what attracts me to printing, because with painting it's always so straightforward, but with printing it's always such a mystery until the end. I might even mix it with water, do a bit of, ooh, maybe a bit too ambitious. Get some old pots. I collect lots of pots all the time. It's very useful, have them handy. What I want is some splattering. I don't know if it's going to come up, but might be too watery, the glue, but it's an experiment anyway. So really, what I love about this is that it's almost like painting in reverse, but you're kind of painting blind. Probably have a finer brush. I need to get a finer brush. My hand is a bit wobbly, but it's kind of good in a way because nature's like that. Nothing is straight lines, perfect straight lines. These stalks are quite thick. They're not very pretty, but I think they might look quite cool. Well, you never know. We'll find out. Yeah, I think I have enough texture and interest going on here. A few more small ones. And I want to give an illusion of 3D space, so these little yellow flowers are sort of coming at us from the distance. Right, so what I'm going to do now is wait for it to dry, and then I'm going to cut into the plate. I'm just now cutting out all the areas where I want the ink to be trapped and to be darker in the Collagraph. I'm just inking up my plate right now and getting all my lovely inks out. If you really don't want the paint to mix, then you should cut the plate in different pieces, or prevent. In nature, colours really blend together anyway, very often. So now I am just getting excess ink off, because I'm going to wipe the ink off, because it's an intaglio technique where whatever's trapped on the plane in between smooth bits gets printed. So just to make my life easier, I'm trying to get some excess ink off. Just with newspaper. Let's get some old newspaper. You don't want to wipe too much ink off, otherwise the plate will end up being quite boring. So it's a real fine balance between wiping too much and wiping enough. And often after the first plate, you can see where you possibly have gone wrong. And so the second plate should be better, unless you get it right first time. Possible. So I'm going to start wiping the sky. I'm going to cover up the trees, because I don't want the trees to mix up with the sky. So I'm just going to cover them up, which is a bit tricky, but it doesn't have to be perfect, just more or less. I take quite a lot of ink off, yeah. Not all of it. I want to leave some. As you can see, my clouds that I did in the glue are starting to show up. So they should come out paler than the rest. Doesn't matter if some brown gets onto the sky. It might be quite a nice effect actually. As you can see, there's some dark paint trapped in between the glue and the matte board, which might be quite a nice effect actually. I'm using a flat piece of paper because I don't want to wipe too much ink off. See how that cloud is now showing up. It's so cool how it just comes up. Against the cloud, so actually it's quite nice for the cloud to maybe have a little bit of brown in it, because it's a sort of greyish cloud. It's not completely blue, like nothing is completely blue in the sky. So actually this mixing here might be quite advantageous at this point. Right, don't want to overwipe. So we can see now the yellow is still there, which is what we want. Now I'm going to cover my sky to prevent the inks from running into each other too much. I'm going to cover my... So a lot of newspaper is being used up, but it's alright, it's just was going to go to recycling anyway, so. It's okay for a bit of green to come here, because actually this is not perfectly yellow. And a bit of brown. It might be quite nice. Actually, to be honest, I think it might be a little bit too yellow, this bit. So it's quite nice to get it mixed up. Yeah, get these two sort of a little bit mixed up with each other. Even a little bit of brown there. Quite nice. I quite like what's going on there now. Oh, lovely. I love the way these flowers now come up from the glue. I think they look amazing. Sometimes actually the plate looks nicer than the actual print. Maybe you could frame the plate instead of the print. Be a bit careful that I don't lose some of the nice yellows in here. It's probably better with newsprint paper than okay. Oh, I'm liking this. Oh, this is nice. I love it when it comes up. If you start all those little details from the glue starting to show coming up there. This is quite a laborious process actually, it takes a lot of energy and time. That's why every plate is so special. So, I think what I'd like to do is probably get the sky a little bit lighter. It might end up being too dark, but I don't want to overwipe it. it's a real fine balance. But as you can see, still some ink on there. Not much. I love these little wisps, clouds in the background. If there's something that I want to show even more, I can use a cotton bud and give it a bit of light. That will come up very light. We'll soon find out if I overwiped or underwiped. So now this is my clean bit, so I don't want to have dirty hands, or I'll try to reuse gloves because it's plastic and horrible. But these gloves have been used many times, so I think it's time to clean a bit. Right, I've got clean hands, lovely. So what I want to do now is, I've been soaking my piece of paper for about a couple of hours, and it's very important that the paper doesn't end up being too wet, because otherwise the glue will stick to the paper. So I'm actually going to blot it first. And you can use these over, dry them, instead of using kitchen towel, which you have to just then throw away, which is a real shame. You can use these J-cloths and then dry them out and then just use them again. So I'm just blotting it. It's still a little bit wet because I can see when I go against the light, I can see it's still quite wet. So what I'm going to do, just the last bit, I'm going to use kitchen towel. And this took me a while to figure out because I have done so many prints where paper got stuck to the glue. And I thought it was glue's fault, and it was just more about drying the piece of paper. So this should be nice and dry now. And this on the other side. Have to be really careful, don't get the paper dirty. Right, I think this should do it. Should be dry enough now. Okay, so I'm getting my prints ready now. Newsprint here to put this down so I don't get my press dirty. One thing that I forgot to do is it would be good to give the plate a little bit of a wipe, so otherwise ink will run off the plate. Give it a nice clean. And one thing I forgot to do, this is a really good trick, little hack, is this is my size of the paper, so I'm just going to draw around it to have a reference point. So I get my print sort of right in the middle of the paper. Okay. Oh, why is that dirty? What happened there? No, we can't use that. Oh, actually it's outside. Oh yes, I've got something. This is how careful you have to be. I've got something on my finger. Right. That's not on a paper, so that's fine. Should be okay. Right. So what I'm going to do, again, I'm just using bits of paper to handle everything so I don't get my fingers dirty. And I'm going to put my print sort of in the middle. So this is going to be my paper, so I reckon it's going to be kind of like that. Oh, that's not ideal. Yeah, it's not, it doesn't have to be exactly, I mean, it's going to be mounted, so yeah, anyway, it is a bit fiddly. So now I'm getting my paper and I'm going to print it this way up. So what you normally do is sort of place the paper here on your reference point and kind of drop it down and hope for the best. That's it. And then I'm going to put another piece of newsprint on top. You can buy newsprint anywhere, on art shop, or if you can't go out, if the shops are not open still, on Amazon. I bought this on Amazon during the lockdown. Right, so we don't want to get our blankets dirty, that's very important. So keep it all nice and clean. I've got 2 blankets, actually 2 blankets is enough. Okay, so what I'm going to do is get my press nice and tight as I can do it physically. Right, and here we go. This is the exciting part. It's getting harder to push now because I can feel I'm going over the plate. This is the moment of truth, if it worked out or not. Okay. I should have really, yeah, I should have put it a little bit further down on the plate. I always get that wrong. Oops, that's not supposed to happen. And now hopefully it hasn't got stuck to the plate. I wiped it off enough. Don't think it has. Oh, I can see it through the... And there we go. I think I'm quite pleased with that.